Shankar Sharma of First Global is still speaking with us. Shankar, you made the point that you don't see too much conviction in the fact that the market may have made a durable bottom for itself. How then would you map the next couple of months just from the Indian context?
No, in India, of course, the big event is coming up in a few weeks' time, and that will, be a significant decider at least for a few days around the elections. I mean, I have really no call on that. I mean, everybody knows which way I'm voting, but I'm not sure. I have no idea whether the rest of the country votes that way or not. My sense is, if the markets were to remain around here, or maybe 300, 400 points up or down, then there's very little the markets will do once elections are out, because I don't think you will immediately get to know what's going to happen unless there is a clear majority for let's say the UPA or whatever it is. But I think if the markets remain here around election time and probably have then captured the positives of the UPA coming back with probably greater strength, then there is no incremental upside that you can expect from that result. So you're actually going to be positioned for a fall even post-elections in either scenario, which is the UPA comes back or that almost nobody is there to form the government. So I think a lot of the positives are already in the price. The negatives of a poor election outcome definitely are not in the price. So you are actually set up even on that front in a relatively weak manner.
You made the point earlier, Shankar, that a lot of people are not feeling great about this rally because they have not been able to participate. Could that be some kind of a reason for this rally to get extended, where people keep chasing this performance and the index surprises by going to 12.5, 13,000 as more of the cash gets sucked into the market?
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen, particularly in India. So, I always say this is a very tricky market and it can defy logic at least for a reasonable length of time. And, for instance, we thought it would do, maybe 15, maybe 20%. It's done twice that. So it is in that sense also been a big surprising rally, incrementally beyond, what the rest of the world has done. So there's nothing to say that it can't do, what you just said. I just think the probabilities are very low. But, the interesting thing is even the long only funds across the world, who obviously over the last 6-8 months saw that price damage on the favored sectors had been terrible. So they had moved away into the more defensive utilities and consumer staples, discretionary, all those spaces. And you can see that those spaces have done nothing at all. They have really hurt, they have lagged the market significantly, not just in India, but across the world, while the sort of so-called low quality end has gone up between 50 and 200%. So it's hurt even the pure long only guys, and it's hurt the hedge funds, because the hedge funds are obviously short those names and were long the quality, and the quality has rallied roughly 2.5 times that of, the junk has rallied 2.5 times that of quality. So you have a huge differential performance which is negative. The only guys who have kind of felt good about this rally are people who actually never got completely rid of their junk last year. So they held on to them with the hope that, okay, at some point markets will rally and, we will, get a 100-200% bounce on our junk. So they are about the only guys who have actually felt good, because I met a lot of long only guys, who gave up a whole year's performance, in just this last 4 weeks' time. So to come back to your point, could that mean that people then end up chasing performance? Possibly. Does it mean that they are very happy about what the numbers are shaping up like on the macro front, at least insofar as India is concerned? Very high fiscal deficit, current account deficit, probably capital account deficit, poor industrial production, GDP growth estimates being revised downwards by, even the central bank and then IMF. They don't feel too happy about that. So the sense we are getting is that people may still choose to err on the side of caution rather than on the side of aggression.
The kind of stocks that you just spoke about, which have been the biggest performers in this rally, Shankar, the Tata Motors, Tata Steel, DLF, do you think they're done? Most of the juice has been squeezed out, or could they surprise even from here?
I think they are done. If you ask me a straight question, the straight answer is I think they are done. 100% bounces from the bottom. I don't think Tata Motors is out of the woods by any stretch of imagination. Neither is Tata Steel. And for that matter, nor is DLF. So, I just think, whilst incrementally these are such volatile names, they could do tag on another 20%, without batting an eyelid. I think you're now into the zone wherein being long these stocks and forget about just being long, but actually going out and buying these stocks in the hope that they'll make another 100% is really a fond hope.
What about that real estate back in specific, Shankar? Because that's the one that people have really gotten up and noticed ever since the Unitech QIP. What would your approach be?
I have no approach on real estate because I just think it's a dumb business. And, I do know this QIP did very well and very sort of the marquee names put in money. But, that happens. Marquee names put in money into a lot of stocks that don't look very hot 12 months down the road. So I pay no attention to a QIP becoming successful. And, like I said the last time I was on the show, that this business is only about momentum. It's not about valuation. So when something starts to run, then money starts to come in. I mean, rather than the other way around. So Unitech ran up, and then that made people feel good. And then the QIP came in, and people said, okay, now with this money, Unitech will be a lot safer company. But the key thing was that the stock had to move before the perceptions changed, which is precisely what happened. So the perceptions have changed in India, across the world, because stock prices have moved. It's not as if the data has suddenly become so positive either for real estate on a micro basis or for India or the globe on a macro basis. It's just that prices have moved and people want to justify that by using look, there are millions of pieces of data, and I can pick one piece of data and say that, look, this is positive and therefore the market is up. But I can conveniently choose to ignore the other 25 pieces of data which are exactly the opposite of what that one piece of data was. I mean, risk aversion is a very good term that people keep talking about. And the only measure that I think is of significance in risk aversion is the volatility index in the US. And that has remained so stubbornly high at around 38 to 45 in this entire move. That is so out of character for a allegedly bull market move. Ordinarily, the VIX should have halved for a move of this kind. That meant that people had really become truly risk averse. People have not become risk averse if you measure it objectively. So, people opine a lot of things, but the statistical measure, the numerical measure of risk is still very high because the VIX is around 40, 38, 42. It should have been at 20, it should have been at 15 if this was the beginning of a bull market.
So what looks like the more likely outcome over the next couple of months to you, Shankar, that the market starts grinding, struggling to move higher from here, or because of the event risk that we talked about, like politics or the market moving up in the valuation ladder, we're set up for a sharp fall?
I don't think India does any kind of grinding move, that's not in character of this market. It does violent moves either way. So, we've had a violent 4 weeks up. We could just as well have a violent 4 weeks down. My sense is whatever move happens, it's going to be very nasty, depending on whether you're a bull or a bear. But it won't be a battle of attrition. I think it'll be a pretty decisive move. And like I said, the probabilities of the move on the down are a lot more than the probability of a equal or equivalent move on the upside.
So you still think that in 2009 the chances of a new low for the market should not be ruled out?
This is a market. I mean, I don't rule out any possibility at all. And I do remember in December, my view was when you close around 10 that, this could well be an up, we could end up, despite all the gyrations at the lower end of the band, we could end up with a, sort of positive score for the year, which could still be possible. My sense is we'll probably see another big low sometime in the middle of the year or, third quarter. And from there, you could possibly double and end up the year in green. So, that is a distinct possibility.
Thanks, Shankar. Good luck to you. Thanks very much for joining in today.
Must tell Shankar next time we'll send the tie.
Okay,
since he picks red.
What about a field? A lush green field for Shankar to play around in.
Exactly.
See you soon. Well, the market's flat, 5 points.